So, hello and welcome everybody. This is our very first event that we have used technology to be around each other virtually rather than in person. Normally we start these by saying it's so great to see so many people here, but as we've told you to put yourselves on video, we actually have no clue. I can just see a little box that says 45, so I'm hoping that there are actually people out there listening. In terms of some quick tips, it would be helpful if my PC was working right now and doing what I asked of it. Can you see that?
Yes.
It is hopefully some quick tips that say what we're asking you to do in order to get the best out of this experience for everybody. So if you could please mute yourself and turn your camera off, what that should hopefully do is make sure that the panel are the ones who are that you can see and that you can hear each time, and that just means that there's no background noise or anything else disturbing us or taking our concentration. At the moment we don't have Zoom Pro. We were hoping, I've been checking the email box like every 10 minutes hoping that it would come through in time, but it hasn't. That means that we can't necessarily mute you, so it'd be great if you could do it yourself. And also if you click on gallery mode, that means you'll be able to see all the panel and everybody who's here taking your questions today. We've got some questions to get started with that some amazing people have sent us beforehand, as they will be starting with some of those. But if you have questions, it would be amazing if you could pop them into the chat box. We'll be watching the chat box and then asking those questions. I'm going to probably just be taking one or two people out of the panel at a time to answer each question. And then please bear with us. As I said, this is the first one we've ever done. It's a bit of a learning journey. I would like to think of myself as a techie, but I have suddenly realised over the course of the last 2 weeks that the reality is very, very different. And then I possibly was a techie when I was about 20 years younger. And also, just to let you all know, we are recording this because there are some people who haven't been able to join us today, and they have asked us to record it so that they can obviously do it on a view back later. So just to let you know that is happening. In terms of us and who we are, hopefully you all know that, which is why you're here, but just to do a really quick recap, you can see Zandra hopefully on your gallery waving right now, and bless her, she was the one that set up the network in 2015. She had read the Lean-In book. She saw a call for various women to support one another and to start a circle, and so she did. And then that circle grew from 2 or 3 people to 12 people, to now over 700 members, which is just absolutely crazy, but also awesome. It means that we're the second biggest circle outside of London, and we organise all kinds of events, as I'm sure you're aware, and we're so pleased that you're joining us and that we're able to still continue doing this, even if it is by the seat of our pants, virtually right now, given everything that's happening in the world. So the usual format of an event is that we are doing this as a panel discussion, so we'll be having questions available and we'll just be answering those, and we normally do networking, etc. Obviously we don't necessarily have the opportunity to do that today. Just in terms of our fundamentals, we do have a code of conduct. It would apply more, I guess, if we were meeting in person and having individual one-to-one conversations with each other. We do just want to create a really safe and inclusive environment for everybody. So please, if you respect the views, the choices and the feelings of others, that would be amazing. We do also want to challenge those, so do challenge each other. Zan just spoke earlier about the fact that you can have individual conversations with each other. If you click on the little arrow where it says 2, you can pick a person and you can have individual conversations if you don't want your particular chat to go out to everybody. So please make sure you make use of that if you'd like to. We want to share our personal experiences, and that is certainly what the panel is going to be doing today. We've had absolutely no opportunity to practice. So you could pretty much get anything as part of this session, particularly in my case, swear words. So I apologise for that in advance. And as I said, feel free to ask any message and we will be as open and as honest about what we're going through, and hopefully you will be with each other as well. We also want to make sure that we have commitment and that we're connecting with each other, and that was one of the principal reasons for why we wanted to put this on today. We appreciate that nobody can go out, we can't see each other. Claire and I were talking earlier that normally we would turn up an event and we might not have any clue what is going on or who's doing what, but because we're all together in the same place at the same time, it's like, be fine, we can take this on. But when you're in your own home on your own, kind of talking at a screen and hoping that people are listening to you, it's very different. And we appreciate that you are in exactly the same situation. So we just wanted to make sure that we could all still connect and all still find an outlet for supporting and encouraging and just generally being there for each other, and particularly given the circumstances right now. In terms of our statistics, as I'm sure you all know, our events reach a really wide audience. Last year we reached over 1,500 people, and we saw growth in our attendance at events at 45%. Earlier this year we held an event where we took all your feedback. We're trying to deliver that feedback. Not surprisingly, we've had a few little obstacles, put it in that way. But we're going to carry on, and we're going to try and delivering to make sure that we still have a community and that people still feel involved and engaged with that community. And we will take any suggestions from anyone. So if you have any ideas or anything that you think we should be doing, please do let us know. So this one, how to smash life right now. We thought we'd take the opportunity to check in, connect with you, commiserate on the things that aren't easy at the moment, but also to share with you our tips for not only how we're getting through this, but also how we continue to hopefully strive and thrive. That makes us sound incredibly awesome. I can assure you that we're not. And we're certainly not holding ourselves out to be absolute role models. We're going to keep it very live today and very real and possibly very unfiltered. So if you can expect the unexpected, and as I said, we haven't practiced, so this could go very, very wrong. In terms of questions, I did say if you could use the chat box to ask anything at all, and I can see that there are questions already, so that's fantastic. And if you would like me, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to pick 1 or 2 panel members each time to answer a question. So if there is a specific panel member that you would like to answer a specific question, then if you can please let me know in the chat box, and then I will make sure that that gets answered. If I miss anything in the chat box, I'm fairly certain that all our other panel members will be keeping an eye on it, and then hopefully they can just butt in and tell me to mind my own business and interrupt. So first question then, and I'm going to pick this question going to, let's start with Zandra, who burned her potato. Can you please share some hacks and tips on keeping a positive mindset?
Can everyone hear me okay? Thumbs up if you can. Okay, brilliant. Positive mindset. I'm often nicknamed Pollyanna by people because I'm a little bit of a positive bunny generally. So, and that comes from mum being the same, really. It's a glass half full mindset. So it's sometimes you don't really know why you do that and how you do that. So it's not always obvious to me. The things I try and do every day is, and it's not obvious, it's very obvious stuff, and you probably all do it anyway, is I like routine. For me, if I've got a list and I'm putting a line through a list, it makes me feel very happy. So there's a sense of just simply setting out to achieve some very simple things and achieving them, even if that isn't burning lunch, which I haven't achieved today. So for those of you that joined the call earlier, my husband presented lunch, which was a jacket potato that was so burnt to a crisp that the insides had basically disappeared. Which was me trying to get ahead of organising lunch for the family today, going, right, I'm going to be organised. On the list is put the jacket potatoes in at 8 o'clock this morning, put them on a low heat. Clearly didn't put it on a low heat, with the intention that they could all self-serve at 12 o'clock whilst I was on this lovely call with you ladies. So sometimes you don't always get the things on your list done. Sometimes you don't even get them done very well, but actually, you know, it's not the end of the world, and they've actually served me another jacket potatoes. They managed to make it themselves anyway, so that's my lunch. So for me, it's very simple. It's just try and achieve small things every day, and don't beat yourself up if they don't go right, and actually just see the funny side. And actually, as it happens, my family are more than capable of making lunch, so you know, maybe I didn't have to put it on my list in the first place.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. And then Zoe, can you answer that question, please? How are you keeping positive, and some hacks and tips on doing that?
So I'm sure everyone's seen the importance of video calling friends. So that's something that we're doing on a regular basis, just as kind of comic relief in a way, and then just to check in on everybody. I've seen a few friends have actually done kind of quizzes, like pub quizzes. So you've got kind of a list of questions and all these kind of things, and you can just bond that way. It was my friend's birthday yesterday, and her workplace organised a pub lunch. So I thought that was quite a nice idea. So it's just kind of doing these informal things to keep social. I think that's something that I'm finding kind of difficult, is not bumping into people at the coffee point and having just small conversations. So yeah, it's just kind of checking in with people, and video definitely helps, I think.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you. I can see some comments saying that they've done the Facebook quiz, that they're doing weekly family friends pub quizzes on a Friday night along with a cheeky drink. I mean, I've been amazed at the number of things. I was really worried before when everyone was saying, oh, they're going to be closing the schools, and I'm like, oh my God, I did this amazing schedule for what the kids would be doing like about 3 weeks before they closed the school, and then they haven't stopped. They just absolutely haven't stopped, and life hasn't stopped, and people have just found new ways of doing things, and now we've got more appointments than we could actually ever possibly fit into a day. So yeah, I'm quite surprised at how we're all still remaining connected with each other. I love the fact somebody's doing a bottomless brunch tomorrow. Ellie, I hope you absolutely love that. I'd love where are you getting the alcohol for that? It's like, keep topping it up. So next question then, if I can move up there, because I just saw one. So here we go. How is everyone coping with working from home and then also balancing home life? Claire, can I go to you on that one?
So in the immortal words of the Fresh Prince, my life's been flipped, turned upside down. So we've got a fairly interesting...
Should we all just sing it?
Yeah, that's your earworm for today. Yeah, so, oh God, yeah, it's completely changed me. I've got 3 kids. I've basically gone from being the director of a business to being a housewife and a teacher, and I'm not very good at it.
I'm sure you are.
My husband's, this is my shed quarters, this is my home office, and it's mine. It's got all my books and it's got my fairy lights, and my husband is working from here 9 to 5. And then I'm running my business in the evenings, sort of 5 to 9 at the weekends. It's working okay. It's taking a lot of flexibility, a lot of patience, which is not one of my natural skill sets, and just taking it one step at a time, really, just kind of dealing with each situation as it arises, not putting too much pressure on us to be our most productive right now. Yeah. Apart from if my husband's boss is watching, obviously. But yeah.
Amazing. Okay, thanks, Claire. Minotti, what about you? How are you doing with being able to balance what would have been your life normally and then working from home? Oh, Minotti, we can't hear you. Yeah, but you're not on mute. That's weird. Oh yes, yeah, maybe you are. I don't think I can unmute you. No, maybe we will try somebody else just quickly. Yeah, we still can't hear Minotti. So Zandra, ha ha ha, you get this one as well.
Yeah, I think that's it's going to be an ear tick for me for ages, is that yeah, it is upside down. I think my kids are a bit older than Claire's, so homeschooling is not as challenging for me. They're sort of teenage, so that they can kind of manage their own timetable. Doesn't stop them from coming in and out all day at all sorts of times. But you know, we've got used to that, and to be quite honest, I think it's made for some really brilliant relationships with people. So I've seen more of my colleagues, friends, associates, families, partners, dogs, you name it. It's been really nice. I think it's a juggle, and it creates for a little bit of challenge, but I think the relationships I'm building with people by being sort of inside their homes and them in mine and getting to know them better. There's something really nice about that. I think there's something really special out of the other side of this, where that, you know, it can feel a bit hectic sometimes, but yeah, I think there's a real positive part to it around how we build some of those relationships as we are at the moment. How am I managing? I don't know. Every day feels different. Like I've burnt the potatoes today. I didn't burn them 3 days ago when I did them. I don't know why I've burnt them today. I think every week feels different as well. So the kids will get bored of their homeworking. I think it's been a bit novel for now. They're missing their friends. So I think every week it's just trying not to expect every week to feel the same, and just to roll with it a little bit more. So just getting used to roll with.
Hello. Oh, Sandra, you've stopped. Yeah, I'm just like, oh, is that us? Sandra stopped and somehow has for her screen
Pressure to have everything planned.
Oh,
I can hear you if you can hear me.
It just froze on the screen, and I kind of just moved my head slightly to see whether it was me or you.
Oh, don't worry, it's fine. I mean, so no, I've sort of said what I need to say, but basically, it's just try not to have too many plans. You're like, have a list, but if you don't get to everything, try not to expect too much of each other. I think and roll with every day a little bit, and it's just being a little bit more relaxed, perhaps, about the things that perhaps you cared about before you were home and stuff. That's all obvious, really.
I've given up on hoovering every day. 2 kids at 6 years old and 2 dogs. I'm like, no, this is just too much stress. We'll go back to that in another life. Minotti, do you want to answer that question now that we can hear you?
Oh, you can. Brilliant.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think it's obviously been challenging. I think week 1, I somehow had these very unrealistic expectations that now that my husband is working from home, I'll get some more help in taking care of our 1-year-old, but that didn't pan out as per my expectations. He was just stuck in my study all day long on calls. So I think it's really about managing, being practical, and I think also forgiving. So I've tried to kind of not beat myself up with that I have to constantly teach my son something every day, or I have to make sure that he's eating right. In terms, I do feed him, it's not like I keep him hungry, but if he's not feeding that well in one meal, I'm not just kind of overemphasizing on everything, because I think that can just totally drive you crazy. So just kind of giving yourself a break once in a while, and making a list like Sandra mentioned, but also not being overcritical, which I think we tend to do a lot more, especially when we are at home, when we're just seeing the same people every day. I guess it just somehow you feel a lot more, at least I'm feeling a lot more stressful at the end of the day, because I feel like I've not achieved much, etc. So I think just being kind to yourself and switching off. I think the first week, my husband and me both were working way past 5:36 because we didn't have to pack up and go back home. I think the laptop was on and we were just constantly working. So I think making sure that you've got that work-life balance still going on, and kind of shutting down the laptop, switching off the phone for some time, and trying to maintain life as it was when we both were out. So I think, that probably has helped us this week, because we managed to get a few walks in and a few runs in, etc. So trying to make life as normal as possible, really.
Yeah. I think my husband has been shocked about the amount of time I spend sitting in a chair on a daily basis. And the number of people all going, Claire, 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 Claire. I think he's like, oh my God. So actually that leads on really nicely to another question that we've had in relation to how are we all getting our exercise in? I am not getting any exercise. Is anybody else managing to do that? And how? Please share with me your tips now.
I just have weights at home. I don't know whether it helps me mentally think that they're there and that I could exercise, but actually fitting in the time is a bit different. And then walking the dog, really. And people are saying in the chat about the Joe Wicks workout. I've seen loads of people do these at home.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as scheduled as people used to have these sessions, for sure.
We fell out majorly over Joe Wicks. We had a really big family fallout. I put it on, come on, 9 o'clock, when let's go Monday morning, and then within 5 minutes, 2 kids in different bedrooms in a strop, and I'm there on my own, bunny hopping around the room.
It's just annoying me. I'm preferring cloud yoga. Like, it's nice stretching, you know, like no running around the living room like a loon, basically, which is probably why I haven't lost any weight in the last 2 weeks.
I've promised my son that I'll start Joe Wicks with him next week to try and start my day at 9:30. But I was just speaking to a friend of mine who's been doing that. She said she's rushing onto a conference call at 9:30, pouring with sweat, red face. I'm just thinking, this did sound like a good idea to get some quality time in with my son first thing. But I'm just wondering if it's the right approach. I hear he's pretty full on his workouts, but yeah, I might give it a go.
Yoga with Adrienne. She's my favourite.
Sorry, who is?
Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, definitely. Right, let's see if we've got any other questions. There's lots of chat, which is fabulous. Joe Wicks. Could we have a feed on one of the Lean In social media channels for everyone to share their home workouts? That's a good idea. Quite like that. Have we got any questions? Is there increased pressure on working women to take on the bulk of the surprise childcare education whilst also balancing working from home? I'm gonna...
We all are like, yeah.
Oh, are you? I know.
Well, you've got the answer.
I have got the answer. Every single woman that I know, and my team especially, even if their other halves are not working, they are definitely taking on the bulk of the responsibility for all childcare. And if they're not, they're then having to treat their husband like a child, when their husband is having a massive argument with their child and being a child. So every morning it starts with Steve did this and Chris did that on the team call. I think I might be the only really, really lucky person. My husband isn't working at the moment, and he has, oh my God, awesomely stepped up. I am so amazed by my kids' teachers. They've put everything online, more than we could ever possibly do in a day. But he is religiously following it and reporting back on Seesaw and doing the kids' journals and everything. He has been absolutely outstanding, and I have desperately needed that level of support in order to just run a small business at what is a very uncertain time. So I think I'm particularly lucky, but by the fact that everyone else was I'm guessing I'm alone in that. So who would like to come in on that one?
I mean, both me and my husband are working full time. I've relegated him to the caravan on the drive, which is quite entertaining. he walks out to the caravan, shuts the caravan door, and spends all day in the caravan. But he has brought me lunch today, so I can't complain because I did burn his. But yeah, our morning is we get up religiously and sit down for breakfast at 7 together. And we have a piece of paper every day, and we have 4 things on the piece of paper. This is back to the list again, isn't it? We write down the chores for the kids. That's the first thing that goes on the list. Then what homework they're going to concentrate on, but they self-manage. We don't tell them when, but they tell us what they're going to do. And then we work through what exercise everyone's going to do, what's their best. So basically, who's going to walk the dog? Who's got the job for today, essentially. And also, what's for lunch and who's cooking it. And it was my job, and I failed. But you see, that's what we do. And actually, we all agree it on a morning, and then we all know what we're doing. We agree it together. And then if the kids struggle with something, they just come and find one of us, whoever's available. So I can't say that, we're doing it as a bit of a team, really. I wouldn't say that one of us is doing a lot more than the other. I don't think either of us is doing very much with the kids because we're both full time. Yeah. So it tends to be organisation in the morning and then going through their homework on a night at the end of the working day and just checking to see how they've gone.
Yeah. I'm loving being able to see the kids a bit more though. So we're sitting down and we're having lunch and then knowing what they've done in the day. Because normally they come home from school and you're like, oh, what was the best thing that happened to it? I don't know. But I was like, now I know. And they're running in from the garden and telling me, I built a bug house, mummy, we built a bug house. And yesterday they'd emptied the entire recycling and got into the recycling bin, pulled out various bottles, filled them all with water, and then they were squirting them all over the garden and up the windows. And they literally just thought that was the best thing ever. So I'm quite liking the fact that they're getting to use their imagination and just be a little bit different with things. There was a really amazing comment here. I'm so sorry, I've got to read it out. Oh my word, says to Zandra from Mandy, a caravan. I could do with one for my mother who's come to temporarily stay with us. I think there's probably, Mandy, many of us that would be able to relate to that. There is no way I'll never let my mother step foot in my house in these circumstances, that's for sure, just in case she ends up having to stay for some weird reason. So what other questions have we got? Any suggestions to get my head in the game in terms of motivation and doing a weekly plan? People just struggling with being able to feel it, I think, and have that purpose, I guess. I know our start times in the morning have started to get a bit later. Normally we're up at 6 in the shower, dog walk, blah blah blah, and now we're like, yeah, it's 6:20, whatever. Rather than the normal, I've got to drop you off at school. How is everybody else motivating themselves, Zoe?
So what I've tried to stick to is doing a kind of a weekly plan. So on a Monday morning, and then just throughout the week, I try and make a to-do list like Sandra, I think, and just having things that I can cross off. But then I'm also trying to break things down by like priority and urgency. And I think taking that time, especially when you're not with your manager or with your team, I think it's really important to take the time out to really break down exactly what you have to do. And then I think it's just breaking time up into slots where you can work really effectively. I think you kind of have to block out your own schedule a bit and say, I'm going to get this done in this time slot for half an hour. So that's what works for me, is really having that structure, I think.
I wonder whether we're all putting ourselves under a bit too much pressure. And like somebody said to me on Monday, what did you do over the weekend? And normally I'd be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, I did nothing, and it was amazing. And I loved every single second of it. So I wonder, whether we are also putting ourselves under a bit too much pressure trying to write those lists, and do we have to right now? Is that the most important thing in life right now, I guess? Wow.
Yeah. I think a gratitude journal also helps to keep my motivation up. So every day in the morning, I kind of have these 3 questions written in a book that I fill up. So what am I grateful for? And right now, every single day, the only thing I'm mentioning, and this is a good kind of thing to repeat to yourself, is that we're all safe and healthy. And that's the biggest thing we can be grateful for right now. So that's what I keep mentioning every day in the gratitude journal. And then the next question is, what's my passion and how am I going to share it today to the world? So again, it's not a to-do list, but it just kind of helps me keep up in line with my purpose. And the third one is, how am I going to pay it forward? So what am I going to share with my friends and colleagues in terms of their businesses? How can I help them? Who am I going to reach out to today to ask if they're okay? So it's not work related, and I think it's helped me to just keep that motivation in life in general. And then obviously we've got all our to-do lists. Considering all of us have to-do lists, we're one of those very organized sort of group where we like to have those ticks and those crosses and all of that. So that's separate, but I think it's nice to have something that's just general life related, which I think has helped me at least in this week.
Perfect. And Claire, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it just kind of goes along with what Minotti was saying, really. So I have kind of things that I do to perform at my best. So for me, that's walking, that's yoga, that's reading, that's time on my own. And what I've tried to do is think okay, I can't do those at the moment. What's the next best thing? What can I do that kind of is a hack, so I make sure that I'm still getting the benefit from that, but I can still do in these circumstances. So like doing yoga in front of the telly instead of going to my class, making sure I get time on my own to read and recharge rather than just keeping going and giving up any independence and time on my own.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does. So next question, what are you most looking forward to when lockdown is over?
Seeing my Tash.
Dyeing my do you know what? HSBC is a really huggy place, and I am missing hugs right now.
Oh yeah.
And so it's amazing to see everybody's faces on Teams in the morning, but they're not to have any physical contact with them. Yeah, I'm struggling with that, I've got to say. I mean, we're a very huggy family anyway, so I am getting my quota of hugs every day. But yeah, just to be able to see everyone and actually hug the people that I care about, I think would be good. Like you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I it's all the little things that you took for granted before, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it just
Being able to buy pasta and toilet rolls.
well, yeah, I think all the little things are going to feel really, really good, aren't they? They're going to feel really nice. It's like I love planting plants at this time of year in all my planters. I love having waters. You know, I love to water my plants. It gives me something. It takes me outside. I love pottering my garden. I'm like, I can't remember any plants. And as stupid as that is, I really love my garden at this time of year. I love it's my headspace. I like to just go in the garden, not think about anything, do something practical, get my hands in the dirt, and so little things like that you just took for granted, just being able to go pop to the shops and buy some plants and put them in.
I am so lucky. I'd ordered everything from J. Parker's in February, and then they come out when they're ready to be planted. So like I got pear tree earlier on in the year because that that could be done in February, so that came straight away. And then other little bits have arrived, and now I've got like begonias and stuff that all need to go in the pots, and they're just sitting there because the weather last weekend was awful. But this weekend I think we might have some sunshine. So yeah, J. Parker's next time, next year.
I have to be honest, I won't be going back to wearing a bra, I don't think.
Ever.
I think it's fine without them.
Stupid thing anyway. Oh dear. Right. What other questions have we got here? Ask that one. Yes, my husband is very helpful. I seem to be just missing. If anyone can
I think there was the question about skills. Are we spending time to get some training done or some self-development? I think that was the
a good answer to that one.
Sorry, Claire, you can answer that one. Was that?
Yeah, so I've been teaching myself to build a website. So that's definitely something that's outside my skill set that I've been upskilling. So I've been beavering away building a website and learning Canva and all that stuff. And I've also been looking into plumbing courses.
Oh, nice.
Okay, change of career when this is all over.
Just in case I'm obsolete and surplus to requirements in the new world. Make a good plumber.
Oh dear. Anyone else learning something new? I'm learning how to get paint out of a wool carpet in my dining room. Yes, that happened.
Reading my kids' homework for the first time all the time, and I'm learning from their homework. In fact, I'm mentally quite taxed from my daughter's homework. I'm like, oh God, I really hope she doesn't ask me for any help. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting spending more time actually taking a day-to-day interest in your child's learning. In of itself, it's quite.
I know how to read, but does anybody really need to know what the hell a digraph is, or a trigraph, or a phenome, or what? Oh yeah, I'm like, why are they learning this stuff? Oh, somebody's learning. Jojo is learning about art from her daughter's homework and coding from her son, so that's great. And the art of patience.
Oh yeah.
That's never been my strong point.
I think we're all learning that.
Yeah, definitely. So have I missed any other questions?
I think there's a question from Chana about employees being furloughed. I think that's an interesting question. For any of us that have been furloughed, what training, upskilling can any of you recommend? Right. Being on hold is stressful, but wasting what is effectively paid time off to learn seems even worse. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Very valid point.
I mean, I don't know how everybody else would want to answer this question. Because my company delivers outsourced HR, I mean, as I'm sure you can imagine, we have been doing nothing except furloughing people for about the last 2 weeks. And we've put kind of packs together for individuals if they are being furloughed as to the kinds of things that they can still be doing. So you are allowed to volunteer. If you are on furlough. There are lots of different community groups out there befriending each other, sharing phone numbers so that you can ring old people in your community, and just, you know, every day have a check on them. We have a lady next door, Kath, her husband only died maybe about 7 weeks ago now, and they've been together for 63 years. So yeah, there are lots of people in our community. In terms of the training and upskilling, there are lots and lots of free resources out there. So I would either pick something that you have always wanted to do and never had the opportunity, or do something that you think would be really helpful in your job, and use LinkedIn training and all those kinds of things. There are actually a lot of free resources out there, so I'll just be looking for those and seeing what makes you excited, and, you know, something that you would really like to learn to do that you've just not had the opportunity. Lots of people are giving away things on a temporary free basis. So Fender, for example, I think it's 90 days they've allowed free for you to learn how to play a guitar or various different pieces of music. So there are quite actually people in the world do seem to be responding in terms of understanding the situation we're all in and giving us opportunities to learn new skills. So think about what it is that's important to you and then deliver it. Xandra.
I suppose we ought to have a bit of a shout out for Lean In resources, because actually Lean In has a whole suite of workbooks and videos which tends to be more personal development focused as opposed to skills based, soft skills. But there is loads of things in there, and the videos are really good, and there's a series of videos as well, and you can do the workbooks. And I suppose it'd be really helpful for us to know if there are any sort of those themes that might be useful for us to run a remote session on, and have a bit of a workshop around something that's around personal development that may form part of that kind of skills development, sort of more soft skills development. Yeah,
absolutely. Anybody else got any suggestions in terms of upskilling or training? What can be recommended?
I agree. There are lots of free resources available as well, but I think probably the thing to keep in mind is to, again, make a list of the things that you are on priority, because it can all be very exciting and tempting to sign up. At least that's what I did in week 1. I signed up to lots of courses. I'm like, yes, I'm going to do this as well and that as well. And then I keep getting reminders that you've still not started the course. You've still not started the course. So probably making a list of what are the 3 things that you really want to upskill on in terms of your skills and personal development, and then just sticking to that and not getting too excited by all the offers.
It can get quite overwhelming, can't it, if you sign up a lot of stuff?
Yeah. There's been suggestions, which is amazing. So just to recap, in case you can't see the chat, LinkedIn training, FutureLearn, Yale University are offering some free online courses. Blink and Audible allowing bits and pieces here and there as well. And then Lean In sister company Option B has a lot of resources around resilience and well-being. So hopefully that's given you some suggestions and some tips. Ellie says, I know a few people who volunteered for the NHS helplines. So yeah, I think, and as I said, anything that you can do for your community and for us as a society is just so useful right now. So Naomi asks, what have you learned about your partner or family that you didn't know before? Claire?
Well, I've worked with my husband for 2.5 years, so I think I've seen a lot of stuff around on social media on work personalities. Has anyone seen it going around? Where like someone putting that they didn't know their husband was a circle back guy, or using the work lingo. But I think I knew my husband pretty well. The kids, I don't know. I think, gosh, mine are at such different ages. I think I knew them pretty well, but I've had to relearn how to take a step back from them a little bit and manage myself, so I'm getting the best for them. I think they're very, very scared at the moment, and I think it's coming out in very different ways, and I've had to learn how to slow down and recognize that for what it is and be patient, which is not one of my natural qualities. And, and just try and be kind to them and to myself as well. That's definitely, if I can come out of this chapter having been more patient, I'll call that a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that on the steering committee virtually none of us are patient. Not our strong point.
That's the flip side of getting shit done.
I know, true, very true. Does anybody else want to answer that? What they've learned about their partner or their family that they didn't know before?
I've learned having my husband in the caravan was the best decision. That actually he goes to the caravan at 9, he comes back out again at 5:30, and it's just like a normal working day, and it works brilliantly. So I think if we had to share an office, it would be a nightmare. So I think what we've realised is actually we're better for kind of just getting on with our stuff and coming back together and having stuff to talk about and not being in each other's day all the time. It's just not us, and kind of working life works for us, really, I think, fair to say.
I think I've learned, I think I've become more respectful of my husband's work, because, you know, when he's out in the office and there are many days that he just doesn't even call or replies to a WhatsApp message. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, are you running the country or something? But he's pretty much on calls from 9 till about 6. And I think I've just become a lot more appreciative that, you know, he's genuinely really, really busy, and I should stop being a nagging wife and be like, you don't call me, you don't message me. So yeah, I've become a lot more, I think, aware about what his work life is really.
Amazing. Okay, thank you. Anne says, learning how other family members respond to fear. It's really important to respect everyone's reaction to the current situation and be patient. Yeah, I think I've been quite surprised by my mum. Because my mum has been a Labour voting person for her entire life. She is, or was, sorry, a probation officer, but also a magistrate. So at one point she was the only one in the country that kind of saw both sides of it, helped to rehabilitate offenders, but also potentially put them away in prison. And then all of a sudden she's become a Daily Mail reader. No disrespect obviously to the Daily Mail, but is constantly sending me articles, and yeah, I think that's been quite interesting. I agree, it's important to respect everyone's reaction. Oh, that's an interesting one. I've noticed everyone wants attention. Jojo, do you want to tell us what you mean by that? You can take yourself off mute. Are you there? No, maybe not. So then we've got,
I'm talking.
Hello. Hello, we've got you.
Hi.
Hello. Who wants attention? Everybody. I feel like a radio host now.
Yes. I think that everyone wants attention from the mum in the family, and what I mean by that is one person will come in and ask about their homework, one will want to talk about their day, but at the very time you might be going on a conference call, another might want you to help them find something, and it seems to happen almost constantly because one doesn't know the other one's doing it all day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got kids who are saying to me, "Mummy, Ewan did this," and then Ewan coming and saying, "I didn't do that. I did this," and the Abba did. It's like, whoa! Oh dear, I need red and yellow cards, I think.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh dear. So how are your children handling this new climate, particularly with no social contact with their friends in person and no contact with close family members, no school, and obviously they're limited in some cases understanding of the pandemic and feelings? Does anybody, Claire, how are you dealing with it in your family?
Oh, do you know, honestly, I was just thinking if anyone has any advice for this, because my 10-year-old daughter is really struggling. She has an iPhone and it goes ping, 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 and she's getting 300 messages a day, but she doesn't want to speak to her friends because she says it makes her feel like she's missing them more. Which makes my heart bleed. So if anyone could give me advice on what they'd do on that, that'd be marvellous.
I don't have any, Claire, because I've got a similar thing with my son who's 11, who is writing a daily diary for school, and he read it out to me last night. Honestly, my heart broke. It was just how much he's missing his friends, how bored he is, how sad he feels about the world, about not being around his friends, that, you know, that he's, and I don't really, it's hard because everyone's trying to still juggle work and everything else at home. I've actually next week made sure I've got a minimum of 3 days where I've not got a load of meetings in my diary. I might have to do a little bit, but I've just realised I actually need to spend some time with him to try and get him back into the rhythm of reaching out to his friends, because I think he's not doing that for a similar reason. I've not asked him, but I think it may be a similar reason. It's just because he's missing them so much. Talking to them's hard because he can't go and play football with them and everything else. So just trying to help him to sort of think through how he's going to sort of emotionally deal with this, because at the moment he's struggling, definitely.
I think I might be luckier, I guess, with my two being little and still wanting mummy and daddy attention, and being able to get that. Limited from me, I hasten to add, but quite a lot from John. And just I guess also with the fact that they're twins and being the same age, and they have been so good. They do love playing with each other and still fascinated by just general stuff, whereas obviously with older ones, they've just had such a different life. All they can see is what they're missing.
I think we're definitely going to need a lot of mental health support, both through this and you know, after it's all over and life returns to normal. You're going to need to be very conscious of supporting both ourselves and our children. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Although there's some good ideas here in terms of painting rainbows. We've definitely done that. We've got bears in windows. In fact, I've got no window space left at all. Gardening, baking, online friend and family group chats. We've done that a lot. The kids have something called Google Classroom, so they've been able to talk to all their friends on Google Classroom. Hysterical trying to watch 2 6-year-olds who have no idea how any of this works, make it work. And then what else have we got? Signed up to Paddington's postcards and following the English National Ballet, so that's great. So then, how are you managing to find time for yourself? I find I'm getting a bit overscheduled with various groups of friends and family. Yeah, I think that's probably similar for all of us. Is there anybody who is managing to find time for themselves? Claire? Can I jump in on this, because I'm a massive introvert, so I'm really struggling. Our house was too small for 5 people before we were in it all day. I'm very aware of my need for time on my own and to recharge, and honestly the best thing I've done is get up really early, chuck some clothes on and go out for a walk on the fields by myself, and then I'm ready to face everything that the day throws at me. But if I don't do that, I feel, you know, like a computer game character where the power bar's going down and down.
Yeah.
I need that time on my own to recharge and be there for everybody, which they do need me present at the moment. Yeah,
I'm pretty firm at drawing barriers and making people aware of that and saying, I'm going to be on my own for the next few hours, please don't come in, or I'm going to walk the dog on my own, I'm going to have my music on, don't take it personally. You know, it's just really drawing these hard lines that, you know, you probably need the space as well, so just take the time to have that own independence for sure.
Yeah, I'm struggling, I've got to say, because I'm available to everyone at work all week, and then you know, John wants a break from the kids at the weekend, and which is great, and I want to spend time with the kids, but at the same time I'm like, is there any just time for me? No, actually, but that's fine. There will be when I'm dead and old, it'll be fine. Sandra, did you want to say something?
I've been taking more regular baths because it's the only room I can lock.
Lock the door.
It's the only room I can lock. So yeah, I just a bath once every 3 days seems to be, you know, play a bit of music. That's been.
Well, just check you're showering in between.
Yes.
No, one is no bra, the other one is no bathing. Oh dear. Right, okie dokie. Now we know a lot more about Zandra. So, oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going up instead of down. Let's see if I have any other questions.
I think we've got 4 minutes, Claire, just as
Oh, 4 minutes. Oh gosh, I think I'm meant to be keeping an eye on the time as usual. I'm no good at that.
I think there was a question about teams. How have you all managed to ensure you stay connected to your teams? Have you been able to encourage healthy debate and discussion virtually?
Anybody want to answer that one? Who has teams, or is as in manages a team, or is in regular contact with a team?
So we've got just over 40 people in the business, and we've done sort of 3 or 4 different things, and some of them work really well. So every Friday at 4 o'clock we have a happy hour. Different members of the team run the happy hour. In fact, Orla, who's on today, is running it. She's kept it a secret, so I don't know what it is. And it'll be a quiz, or it might be karaoke, and everybody joins with a glass of something alcoholic or not, mostly alcoholic. And we have exactly. We have our hour, and then that's the end of the working week. It's a really lovely end, and everyone regroups. So that works really well because it's purely social. We have a coffee break every afternoon at 2 that people can decide to join or not join. But again, it's just a check-in point with other people every day. Which is really nice. And again, it's just general chit chat and banter, like bring your pet to the coffee break, or, you know, whatever it might be. And we also have then more kind of businessy ones where every team will have a 9 o'clock meeting every day, just for motivation. That's really important, because sometimes if you just don't feel like you know what to concentrate, your head's not in the space, just to get together with your team at 9 o'clock and have that half hour of like, what's everyone doing, just gets everyone's head in gear. And sometimes it's just talking with others that gets people feeling motivated, gives them a, okay, I am part of something, I'm not on my own, especially people that live on their own and are much more isolated. Sometimes that 9 o'clock is really, really important to just get their head in the game. So 9 o'clock team meetings, and then on a Friday in the morning we have an all hands where the whole company talks and shares about everything they're doing, so you hear from every team. And that's worked really well for us. It feels like a lot more communication, formalised communication, but it's needed because some people just don't have the same level of interaction because they're not in the office. Their roles are usually quite structured and disconnected from teams, so some people actually do need those check-in points, otherwise they'd be very isolated. So that's what we've been doing, but I think having a balance between the completely social and banal to the business is keeping the spirits up.
Yeah, we're trying to do the same. So ours starts a bit earlier. We do a team call. I mean, we're only 14, so all of us do get on that call, so it's kind of like an all hands call every day. And yeah, 10 to 9, and we kind of do that for 30-40 minutes. And then we have Wetherby Whaler, so we're using Teams. We have the Wetherby Whaler channel because our office is based near Wetherby, and so whenever anyone's having lunch, obviously we just can chat on that or join via video. We tried doing it the first day and then nobody's video is connected, but I think we're making that work now. We've got team quiz next week, which I'm very excited about and looking forward for. And yeah, so we've got a bit of a mix. We've got the dad joke channel. So every day some of us put a couple of dad jokes up and then everybody has to vote on the joke for the day. So we are finding ways to connect, but like you, Zandra, I mean, we record all our time because obviously we have to be able to show that we've delivered a contract for a client, and communication, and we call it, I probably shouldn't say this on an open channel, but we call it random shit. You can record time to something called random shit, and there's been a lot, that's gone up a lot. But it helps obviously to keep the communication going, just make everyone feel like they're really connected. So yeah, it's worth it. Right, I think I've done my time. So let me see if I can get the next slide up, which should say Thank you. Thank you to everyone for joining us and for participating. I hope it's been useful. I hope that we've had some fun together and that you've enjoyed it. And I sincerely hope that you'll come to another one in the future. We'll definitely be running them. Yes, Claire Ackers, definitely ideas for future sessions, please. And then to connect with us, don't forget that you can connect with us in a multiple number of different ways.
I think we jammed.
I think Claire has just
Claire has left the building.
Claire has left the building, so we shall, in case Claire's Wi-Fi has dropped off, then I think she's just sort of saying thank you, give us more ideas, and we do have so many different social channels, so if you've liked today or you want to share or suggest things, then please do suggest them on our various social channels. We've got you back, Claire. Hello. Thank you everybody for joining. I think we've had about 43 today, which is an amazing turnout. So we'll announce another one again to all the group, but just thank you to everybody on the panel today, to Claire for hosting it, facilitating it, and we love you all, we miss you all, and we can't wait for our hugs, but we'll have some more of these in the meantime.